Today our lesson was on interpreting a multiplication equation as the comparison and representing verbal statements of multiplicative comparison as equations. So very difficult or confusing to read and understand what that means, but interpreting the multiplication sentence or equation as a comparison simply means if we have an equation such as 35 equals 5 times 7, we can read that and interpret it as comparing two numbers. We say it, and we've been looking today in our lesson as 35 is 5 times as many as 7. We can also read it 35 is 7 times as many as 5 because students have learned before in their basic facts and understanding of multiplication that you can switch the two factors in a multiplication sentence and you'll still find the same answer or product. So students looked at this in their lesson today, and by the end of the lesson we always want them to be around the cougar tracks that we use to kind of track our progress is a 3, which means that they can do this without help from their teacher. So looking at an example problem, we started with this problem today to help us remember what a comparison problem looks like and what the structure of it is, but this is actually a comparison problem using subtraction. Carly has 9 pennies. Jack has 4 pennies. How many more pennies does Carly have than Jack? When students see how many more pennies, they understand that they're looking for a difference. So in our previous chapter, we used bar models for comparisons where students were looking at the larger quantity, the smaller quantity, and looking for a difference. In drawing the model, helping them understand the problem, we label Carly as the larger rectangle for 9 pennies. Jack is the smaller rectangle with 4 pennies. And this difference is the question in the problem. How many more pennies does Carly have than Jack? That question mark is the unknown. So students today first found how to write a number sentence or equation with an unknown and stating n for the letter. So in this case, we can use 9 minus 4 equals n, or they could write it n equals 9 minus 4. And using their simple subtraction, they understand that the difference is 5. That warmed us up for the type of problem that we see in Chapter 2, Lesson 1 for multiplication comparisons. So same scenario, except the question has changed and so has the comparison between the two numbers. Now it's just not how many more, it's Jack has 4 times as many pennies as Carly. This times as many tells us it's a multiplication comparison. So we're also going to use a bar model, and you'll see bar models in these first 2 lessons in our chapter, where students start with the quantity that they know, and that's Carly, and Carly has 9 pennies. We don't know how many Jack has, but we do know that Jack has 4 times as many. So we've drawn a rectangle that has 4 kind of equal boxes that represent 4 times what Carly has. And we fill in the rectangles with the same number. And what we're looking for is the unknown here is n. How many does Jack have? So we can represent this in an equation. N equals 4 times 9. You can also represent it with 4 times 9 equals n. And students know with their basic multiplication that 4 times 9 is 36, or they could simply add 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 and get 36. So our answer of n equals 36. N was the unknown. We didn't know how many pennies Jack had, but now we understand that it's 36. And we can see with our model that Jack's amount is 4 times greater than Carly's. For the bar models, this was the first time we looked at them today with multiplication, but we can use bar models to compare amounts. And in each of these examples, you see kind of as many as. And so looking at as many as 5, 5 is what we start with. 15 is 3 times as many as 5. So we start with 5 and then 3 times that. So in this model, you'll see the bar model is 3 times it's repeated. And we can represent it with that example. Just like our goal was to be able to flip those two numbers, 3 times 5 or 5 times 3, our picture will look differently. In the second one, when it says 15 is 5 times as many as 3, we start with 3 as the known quantity, and then we repeat that 3 5 times for a total of 15. So comparing those two numbers using the bar model would look like that. For this example problem, now that they've seen the bar models and we've identified what a comparison problem looks like for multiplication, students are now challenged with this problem, which doesn't fit the same problem or the same type of model as before because the unknown is different. In this case, we have Miguel. He has 3 times as many rabbits as Sarah. We do know Miguel has 6 rabbits. The unknown is Sarah. We don't know how many Sarah has. So looking at this example, our model will be a little bit different. Since we don't know how many Sarah has, we start with Sarah as the unknown, or n. We do know that Miguel has 3 times that. We can put n in the box for Miguel. What students will confuse is that they think that 6 should go in those boxes, but that would mean that Miguel has 18. Miguel has a total of 6. So the equation looks a little bit different for this one. In this case, we're looking for the n, unknown. In Miguel's example, we have 3 n's. So we can say 3 times n, or the unknown, is 6. Students will think in their head, 3 times what is 6? 3 times 2 equals 6. So students need to go back into the model and then replace their n with the number 2. So Sarah has 2, Miguel has 6, as it says in the story, and so the unknown is our answer here. Sarah has 2 rabbits. In students' notebooks, they have this example, and they've glued it into their spiral. We've done this together in a step-by-step as a whole group, and so they should have this drawn similarly to what we'll do now. So Tara has 3 times as many soccer medals as Greg. So I'm going to use a highlighter. We're trying to get students to pick out the important information in the problem is a strategy we're doing. Greg has 4 soccer medals. So we're trying to find out what Tara has. Tara is the unknown. So in this example, we'll start with Greg. Greg has 4 soccer medals. We do know that Tara's number is 3 times as large. So we're going to draw a model. That's 3 times Greg's. We repeat 4, 4, 4. And the total amount is n. That's what we're trying to find out. So our equation can be n equals 4 times 3, or 3 times 4, because there's 3 boxes with 4 in it, using our basic facts, or counting 4 plus 4 plus 4. N equals 12, so Tara has 12 soccer medals. Again, these are some problems that students were challenged to complete by themselves, and then we checked together as a class. This is also found in their math spiral. These are not word problems, these are the equations. So right now in our goal, they're trying to take this multiplication comparison equation and represent it in a model. So it is important for students to be able to identify these bar models, but also come up with them and draw them themselves based on this comparison sentence. So for the first one, 4 times as many as 7 is 28. Using a strategy, as many as 7 tells us that 7 is that amount that we know. We can draw a 7. 4 times that is 4 times 7. This whole amount is 28. So 7, 7. To write this as an equation, 4 times 7 equals 28. I'll do one more for number, 4. 10 is 2 times as many as 5. As many as 5 tells us that we're going to start with 5 as the known. 2 times as many, we repeat 5 and 5. This amount here is 10. So we can write 10 equals 2 times 5. There's 2 groups or 2 rectangles with the number 5. Looking back at our goal, after today, students should be able to interpret a multiplication equation as a comparison, and then using a verbal statement, they should be able to represent it as well, just like we did in this lesson.